This is day 1688 of the Arukh HaShulchan Yomi. Today we're doing Choshen Mishpat, Siman Reish Nun Tes, Sif Yud, to Siman Reish Samech, Sif Gimel. Yud, B'Mudav Shem Siman. If it's something where there is no Siman, there's no sign of which can be identified the original owner. It fell into the flow of a river where there are impediments which impede its progress. The two wrote as follows: if his beams and wood fell into the river, which doesn't have a sign to which they could return him. If the owners are pursuing their lost beams, in the brackets he says, if they immediately when they heard about it, not that they have to be staying there at the time they stepped away, then it's proof that they're here or his, and you give it back to them, to that owner. In the brackets he says, when somebody else has impeded them. If it's a way that the owners standing there at the time they were swept away, he could have stayed immediately. And the bracket says, would let them flow downstream. So therefore they certainly did not give up hope. And the bracket says, Beis Shom, when they heard it. For us, it says Kain Sol Klamar, I guess it's a typo. Then even it wasn't there when it got swept away. Somebody else came and saved it. Lo Zacha, the person who saved them, did not acquire the wood. Even though originally gave hope afterwards. Came Shloya royally, since it was not in a situation where Yehush would have occurred at the time. And in brackets he says Yehush Lomidas, the class case where Yehush Lomidas, where there's he doesn't know to be Misiah for it. If it's a matter where the owner could not have saved on the spot in the place where it got swept away. And the bracket says, even they were staying there at the time it got swept away. But rather you would have to go to a distance. And there it's not going to be effective, that which you could have saved it. Because until before he gets there, maybe the beam will get to that new place. The people in that new place not know it's his. They should get back to Mishur because he pursued it. In that case, it's appropriate for the owner to give up hope. And the bracket says, even then they stood there at the time of the being swept away. Because they can't reach it before it gets to the new place. That place won't give it them. Because it has no simon. In the brackets. If he's standing there when it got swept away and he gave up hope, he didn't pursue it, obviously, that's certainly Yehush. Brackets, it says, then even they could save immediately in a place where it was swept away. Since they didn't pursue it, there's no greater Yehush than that. Out of the brackets again, if it's generic, we don't know if there's Yehush or not. Lo Yehush, it's not Yehush. The bracket says, such we can't clarify this matter. So it's asking by default, since they weren't involved in pursuit. So we don't know if there was Yehush or not. Lo Yehush, there is no Yehush. Were they capable of saving it immediately? And out of brackets again, can you really perish at Tush, unfortunately, Skashimon mode? This is interpretation Torah, which unfortunately I have great difficulty with, and that's why the Arukh HaShulchan went here like a Rashi and gave us brackets every so often to explain what the Torah meant. Well, the Das is Yudaf. The Das is Torah, according to Torah, and saying where there is a sim, I feel I'm doing some Bailim, Velora, Tulatzil. Even if the owner stood there and did not pursue, you have to give it back. It's no Yehush if they didn't pursue it. The thing, why should we pursue it? It'll be impeded somewhere in the little down river. I'll give it sim and take it. Also, they're not able to save it at the time of being swept away, even they were standing there. And those objects were being swept away very quickly to some other place before the owner. The owner, the people find it, have to give it back. came a change of simon because there was a simon. So it's not like Zut L'Shem evidently the Gemara would be a case where it's going to great distance. Came Shem Michshel Shagvan with no impediments to stop it downriver. You'd base beam race Rega Shatifa at the time it was swept by Yobayim B'Chol Latzil B'Kal. The owners could have saved it easily, V'Chaka B'Chol Latzil B'Docher, and then it becomes much more difficult for them to save it. Imam L'Sham Beis Shatifa, they're saying that the time was swept away, V'Lo Chol Shul Latzil Tefel Kalus, and then we're not concerned to save it immediately when it's easy. They certainly gave up hope. Why would they have waited? They certainly gave up hope. Now which they take the effort later on to save it, they changed their mind. Does not effective. Somebody else acquired them. But if they were not there at the time it swept away, so then you have to give back to them. Since they could have saved it with difficulty, they certainly haven't given up hope. Because they pursued it when they heard about it. What could they have done? They didn't know about it at all until after it was swept to another jurisdiction. Of hope. So here you have to get back. It's the Year Shlomidas. It's an appropriate year. At the time there was no Yush. There it's not like Zut L'Shayam in the Gemara. The Sham there they can't save it even with difficulty. Fascinating. You give us Elshan Rabbein Ramah, B'Siv Sign Ramah, Tzima, Udav Hashem Simon, the same, but there's no Simon, and by Mechol Latzil, the owners could save it. In brackets it says, they were standing there, Vein Rovim Achar Veda, and they're pursuing that Veda, in brackets it says, Kshisham, when they heard about it, O She'en O Shomer, they're not there. The bracket says, Klal, at all, Kevon, since, She'ilo Yasham, if they were there, they could have saved it. Lo Zachaben HaMotzeh, find and not acquire them. Bracket says, Afil Tzishtashu Imenu, Shishamu, even they gave up hope when they heard, to have a Yehush Shlomidas, it's Yehush Shlomidas. Out of the brackets. It's where you can't save it immediately. The bracket says, if they were there. Vu'omed, and he's standing. In the brackets he says, Oshomed, that's Sma. Or he's standing there. He's saying they're not. He doesn't pursue them. Bracket says, Miyad immediately. Fadim, you're certainly giving it hope. Bracket says, V'lo mani d'fosol charka. For the Sus afterwards doesn't do any good. V'stam alav yesh. And generically, it's no Yesh Hakan Lashona. The bracket says, so Mark Stifri Atur. It's like exactly the Torah. It's like Kashim B'Tais and Mordechai, B'Kein Kashim Farshim, it's not like much Kosav the Duk. Some say it's Tais Mordechai, but it's exactly the Torah. Yudal. Even though you're not required according to the law to give it back, nevertheless, it's good and appropriate to give it back. There was a story when a boat sunk at sea. Because our Moshe Akilos, the governor and the community's decree. Anybody who acquires the cargo from the non-Jews, who saved that, salvaged that cargo, they have to give back to the owner. They do have to give back, even though they didn't require to do so. You only get from the owner whatever the owner gave, I guess, in order to retrieve it. I don't know exactly, some sort of compensation, maybe whatever. Oh, whatever you paid for it. In other words, whatever you paid to buy from the non-Jews, so that the owner compensates you, but he doesn't purchase it at full price. I've got the African community. It's according to the letter of the law, it's hefker since it's sunk at sea. Nevertheless, Dina Machuz Dina, Hefker based on field based in B'chol Dor, and Hefker based in is Hefker, even based in every generation. So two aspects here, both Dina Machuz Dina, that's the Moshel, and Hefker based on Hefker, that's the kilos. It doesn't say about what happens with one without the other, which is an interesting question. Tezvav, Avozim Tarigolim, geese and chickens, Shaborchim Yabalim, which fled from their owner, Bovashiv Shabalim, Lachzir, in a manner that the owner can't get them back, going Shaborchim Merachok, such as they flew to a distance, have a Hefker. It's the owners. Anybody who sees them acquires them. The other is buying, they no longer belong to the owner. Again, it's good and proper to give back. Wherever in which they make a dam to catch fish. They make a blockage in the river. That the fish should be captured and stand. They can't pass in there. And Jewish workers make these dams. Fix them. Ruined. Somebody who finds a lost object there has to announce it. It certainly belongs to Yisrael. Yisrael specifically when most of the people involved there are Jews. You look at if not, Yisrael Shemena, the owner is going to give up hope. The Moshe Akuk is going to think that a non-Jew found it, but is not going to give it back to him. The opposite. Place where the people who watch the waterworks are non-Jews. Even though most people come in and out are Jews, don't have to make an announcement. Yudzayin Ksiv, it says, on any lost object of your brother. Sal said it also includes lost ground. Also to get back. Such as you see a flood of water coming to your friend's field. You have to make a fence to prevent them from in order to save the land. I have said also in all matters of loss, which can be by his friend, you can prevent the damage. You have to prevent it. Also can overloss. I said, if you don't do it, you violate the mitzvah say of give it back. And say of do not ignore it. The thing is, you don't have to spend money. That's he doesn't mention here. If anything which you do on your own, but there's no chiyuv to spend money to save another person. Of course, living with shus adin, but mikra adin, I'm pretty sure that you don't have to spend money in order to do it. Rei samech ladas maya veda, to know what's considered to be a lost object. Vodim and other halachas. Aleph hamoti matmo megal yoshim. Somebody finds a treasure in an old pile of stones. Because the yoshim, an old wall. Shein zochem mibanas. So you don't remember who built the wall. The Kreisel said, "Eino." This was not maintained from time immemorial, but Cheskas Avoisav should no. Animal Zekas means it's not assumed. From time immemorial, Cheskas Avoisav that belongs to the ancestors Shador Boata of the person who's living there now. The treasure belongs to the person who finds it. Even though the person living there is there for 2 or 3 generations from his forefathers, they say the treasure belonged to ancient peoples. Because the Ram writes, mata. So you find it buried deep down. Like all ancient treasures. But Torah says also to be rusty. I've married one, but if it's indicative, it's a new treasure. If you're not sure if it's new or not, you can't touch them. Anytime you're in doubt if something was left deliberately, don't take it. Maybe it's left deliberately. If it doesn't make a difference if it's in the outer half of the wall or the inner half of the wall. Base. You can't ask, well, maybe the treasure belongs to somebody ancient, but why is the owner of the chutzner not considered to have acquired it through his chutzner? A person's courtyard acquires things even without his intent. At time, because the chutzner doesn't acquire something which you might have never found. It's a place of Daf Chavav. Ramazal Pertes says, "I'm exalted." Rates Kankin. Nation low mechem. Says someone saying sin because not known not to him nor to others. This treasure is lost from him and any other person. And it's a kavachomer that the finders from a lost object fell into the sea, which belongs to him. Not which belonged to a person. The Torah permitted to other people because it's lost to him and all other people. It's only here where it was never belonged to this person whose chutzner is there. And chutzner is not chutzner is not acquire something which you possibly you'll never find. Bracket says here, wherever the Ravid asks is resolved with this principle. The Talmud of Yearly seems to be says Arukh HaShulchan. The reason is the chutzner kohen b'shum yad. Chutzner requires you because it's an extension of your hand, or b'shum shilchus, or because it's your agent. Something which is in your hand, you're going to find out about. Something you're making agent. The agent's going to tell you about it. This chutzner, it doesn't have, it's not a yad nor a shliach. Some say reason nation in chutzer kind of built the idioso like media shchev v'ragim so chutzer. Some say a different reason. A chutzer does acquire without your intent, but only something which is prevalent and customary to find a chutzer. I don't shame so, but think chutzer things you don't really find a chutzer. Come on, most like money, sham talking other objects. Ain't a chutzer kind of chutzer does not make a kinyan. Only animals which normally do go through a chutzer. Kind of chutzer mishalefka. The chutzer requires them if they were hefker. It's the Mordechai. Sim Reis Samches Yisbar El Bezeb Siyat Ishmael. Those are the one who says Ein Chutzer Koina Raku Dover Hefker Gomer. Chutzer only acquires something which is absolute Hefker. Avlo Beve not a lost object. For the Siyas Rabban, even though it gave a pope, can you have a Yoda Lo Have a Mafkirit? Because since he were to have known of it, it would not have been Mafkirit. I'm Rabbi Shon Real Lady Los for the K. Most Rishonim seems they don't hold that way. It's from the Sivis. Kametz Sfar to also the Sfar itself is difficult. Well, for the Kinyas Chutzer. Maybe he holds that the acquisition of chutzer without your intent is a kind of type of agency. This chutzer would therefore be an agent which is seizing something on behalf of the person who created the agency in place that causes a loss of others or to the detriment of others, which doesn't work. You also can say that when the first person acquired the chutzer from the seller, in the treasure, didn't acquire the chutzer to everything which is in it. And so to when he sold to another, then the next person acquired came later. We said this is like many cases where a buyer doesn't know about this. And hadn't had mind to buy it. And the seller also had mind to sell it. It's not a valid sale. Gimel v'im nikar that was Mordechai. Gimel v'im nikar sha'otzer hu nasham ismal lo kabir. If it can tell the treasure is put there not a long time ago, or shugach chodesh, it's a new pile of stones. Also, he's loyal now. I'll take it. But hu nasham idas, the stone is put there deliberately. The person left there, it's going to take it over time. So to a new wall. You know that the fathers of those who live there now built it, but never left their jurisdiction. If you find an object in that wall in the outer half, then if it belongs to the person who found it, if it even has a simon, as long as it's very rusty. Because certainly its owners have given it up hope for him. It's been there a long time. But it's not very rusty. You should not touch it. The owners will come and take it. If you find it in the inner half of the wall, and then it belongs to Ba'abais, I feel even if it's very rusty. Because Ba'abais doesn't forget his objects for a long time. It looks like it. Most of the seller can't touch it. The buyer can't, the finder can't touch it. It's found towards the outside. If it's found deep down like a treasure, we're not concerned somebody here made a treasure and they give a pope. If you don't make a treasure in a wall which people are using, which is the way he found it, I guess. But he certainly gave a pope. Okay, there's still more about this, but this is it for today.